Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Greetings, fellow dreamers, to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Remember to embrace the cosmos of imagination by liking and subscribing for future interstellar tales. Now, let your worries fade as you settle in for a journey beyond the stars. The Krillian merchant's third eye pulsed, a crimson flag of displeasure amidst the bustling bazaar. Connor Blade subtly shifted, the leather of his salvaged jacket whispering against the advanced armor concealed beneath. Its familiar weight was a comforting tether to his father, a grounding force even in the sprawling anarchy of Nexus Station's underbelly. 50 credits, Connor offered, his voice a low rumble. The merchant's vocal sacs vibrated with outraged air. This Andromedan prayer wheel holds a value tenfold greater. Connor's hand found the worn microbolt in his pocket, his thumb tracing its grooves. 3 rotations left. 2 right. A ritual to quiet the rising storm of anxiety as holographic advertisements blazed above, promising everything from neurological upgrades to questionable genetic alterations. A gift shop trinket from Andromeda 7, Connor countered, lifting the disc so the harsh fluorescent lights exposed its flaws. See the stamp? Manufactured in New Beijing. Sold by the 6-pack. The Krillian's third eye stilled. All 3 narrowed, suspicion dripping from each gaze. Perhaps the Earthman sought amusement elsewhere, the merchant hissed. Perhaps, Connor conceded, still pocketing the prayer wheel. Each credit was a victory, even if it meant another week subsisting on nutrient paste. Unless you possess something of true value, he challenged, his eyes scanning the wares. The bazaar surged around them, a cacophony of alien spices, the drizzle from malfunctioning gravity emitters, and the clamor of 100 species bartering in the lingua franca of profit. Connor had navigated these treacherous waters for half a decade, ever since the Europa incident transformed him from a decorated marine demolitions expert to a mercenary xenoarchaeologist. A vibration on his wrist, a digital pulse spelling 1500 station time. Maddie's call. Guess we're done here, Connor murmured, already activating his comlink. A torrent of curses in 3 alien tongues, one vaguely familiar, followed him as he sought refuge near a noodle stall and a vendor peddling authentic Earth literature, mostly obsolete repair manuals. Maddie's holographic image bloomed before him. You look like hell, his sister greeted, her voice edged with concern. Her dorm room shimmered behind her, Denver University early admission housing, the best he could secure for her future. Always a charmer, Mad, Connor replied, running a hand through hair still dusted with the residue of yesterday's scavenge. Pre-Harvard treating you well? It's fine, she said, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear, an echo of their mother's nervous habit. Got my acceptance packet today. Full tuition scholarship, but housing and expenses. How much, Connor? How much? Her gaze drifted away. 40,000, due by next semester. The microbolt in Connor's pocket felt like lead. 40,000 credits, 6 months of perilous salvage runs, if fortune favored him, and if he wasn't ripped apart by claim jumpers or devoured by something with too many mandibles. I'll get it, he promised, his voice firm. You always say that, and I always end up worried sick, watching you go where people will shoot you. Maddie's digital presence leaned closer. That scar on your shoulder hasn't healed yet. Connor adjusted his jacket, concealing the still tender flesh where a security drone's plasma blast had grazed him last month. Occupational hazard, he shrugged. Look, I've got a lead. A museum job. Completely legal. Since when do you do legal? Since they're offering enough to secure Harvard and set us both up for a year, Connor quipped, forcing a reassuring smile. One last job, Mad. Then I'm done with the dangerous stuff. You said that after Europa. The word struck like a physical blow. Europa, where he'd rescued 600 colonists by inadvertently activating an ancient precursor device, where the alien radiation had warped his DNA, gifting him with his unwanted luck, earning him the moniker Lucky Disaster Blade for instigating the catastrophe he averted. This is different, Connor insisted, his voice softening. Clean extraction, minimal risk, in and out. Maddie scrutinized him, her 16-year-old eyes filled with a lifetime of shared burdens. Promise me you'll be careful. When am I not careful? Tuesday, and the entire month of April. And that mess with the rebellion. Fine. Fine, Connor surrendered, raising his hands. Careful as a Vulpian monk. Aren't they the ones who spontaneously combust during meditation? Horrible example? A flicker of a smile touched his sister's lips. I love you, even if you're an idiot. Love you too, genius. Go study something impressive. The connection dissolved, leaving Connor alone with the weight of vows he wasn't certain he could fulfill. 40,000 credits, 6 months to deliver his sister to Harvard, away from the grime and peril of the frontier. Their parents had sacrificed everything for humanity's reach among the stars. Connor would be damned if Maddie paid the same price. His comm buzzed anew. Incoming message, top priority. The Galactic Museum insignia shimmered in his augmented reality display. Mr. Blade, your unique talents are requested for a sensitive extraction, Tyel Prime, coordinates transmitted. Target, the Spear of Eternal Oath within the tomb of Matriarch Candria. A reward of 50,000 credits awaits upon successful delivery. This is time-sensitive. Director Chen, Connor reread the message, his mind replaying the staggering sum. 50,000. More than enough to ensure Maddie's future, with ample funds to finally leave this life behind. He envisioned a sprawling ranch in Colorado, a place blessed with boundless skies and earth that wouldn't try to consume his boots. TL Prime. He'd heard the whispers. A proud warrior culture, a society ruled by matriarchs, their technology so advanced, it made humanity seem primitive. They were also notoriously xenophobic. The fact they were allowing a human to retrieve one of their artifacts suggested either diplomatic ties had miraculously thawed, or this mission was fraught with unseen peril. Connor's finger hovered over the decline icon, a flicker of hesitation. Then he pictured Maddie, radiant and brilliant in a Harvard lecture hall, forging the future their parents had perished fighting for. He accepted the contract. "Excuse me, Earthman," a small voice chirped from near his knees. "Might you require navigational assistance?" Connor looked down out to see a spherical droid, roughly the size of a basketball, hovering at waist height. Its metallic shell bore the marks of countless scuffles, adorned with tourist decals from a dozen worlds. One of its photoreceptors flickered erratically. "K3P Series Navigation Unit at your service," the droid announced, its enthusiasm seemingly in inverse proportion to its dilapidated state. "I couldn't help but notice you accepted a contract for Tyel Prime. A truly fascinating choice. Did you know that Tyelian mating rituals involve ritualistic combat and are considered the most romantic in 3 sectors? I'm not looking for just 50 credits, the Sakari vendor, a creature with an alarming number of arms and a distinct lack of teeth, materialized beside them. Very reliable. Mostly. 60% of the time, it works every time, K3P chimed in. I also come preloaded with over 10,000 hours of romantic holodramas from across the galaxy. Did you know that 73% of successful relationships begin with a meet-cute involving mistaken identity? Connor was already walking away when the droid added, I possess complete topographical data for Tyel Prime, including tomb locations not found on public records. That stopped him. How recent? Updated last solar cycle? The previous owner was quite thorough before his unfortunate demise, K3P replied, spinning in what might have been indignation. His unfortunate demise was completely unrelated to my navigation. The Ghoulian pit beast was entirely his own fault. I explicitly advised against the shortcut. Connor turned to the Sakari vendor. 30 credits. 45. 35. And you throw in a diagnostics kit. Deal. 3 of the vendor's arms extended for a handshake. No refunds. And so it was that Connor found himself in the cargo hold of a freight runner bound for Tyel Prime, listening to a damaged droid dissect the romantic subplots of a Centurion soap opera while he meticulously cleaned his gear. The microbolt spun between his fingers. 3 left, 2 right. As stars streaked past, 1 last job. What could possibly go wrong? 3 days later, Connor stood before the imposing entrance to the tomb of Matriarch Candria, his definition of wrong irrevocably redefined. The structure clawed from TL Prime's violet sands, like the skeletal remains of some colossal, ancient beast. Crystalline formations, serving as both breathtaking adornment and formidable defense systems, pulsed with a barely contained energy. The planet's twin suns cast elongated, dancing shadows that seemed to possess a life of their own, a constant, chilling reminder of his profound isolation. Oh, how marvelous! K3P hovered at Connor's shoulder, its damaged photoreceptor casting erratic light across the tomb's ancient facade. The architecture perfectly embodies the Tyelian philosophy of death as transformation. Also, this entrance has a 67% probability of being trapped. Connor pulled on his work gloves, the familiar tingle of his ability activating as the specially treated leather dampened its overwhelming effect. Too much contact with ancient artifacts could drown him in fragmented visions. Run another scan. I need to know what we're walking into. Scanning. Oh my. K3B spun excitedly, its chassis whirring. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the structure. The tomb appears to be built on a convergence of natural ley lines. How romantic. How is that romantic? The Tyrians believe that dying on a ley line ensures your spirit will find its soulmate in the afterlife. Chapter 47 of Love Across the Void explores this theme extensively through the forbidden romance of— Yes, Connor, shut up, Connor interrupted, approaching the entrance. Every instinct honed by 5 years of tomb raiding screamed a dire warning. The archway was intricately carved with symbols that seemed to writhe and shift when his gaze wasn't directly upon them. His fingers brushed against the cool stone, and instantly, his vision erupted in a cascade of images. Warriors of pure energy, clashing across the star-strewn void. A woman with skin of celestial blue and hair like flowing pink starlight, wielding a spear that blazed like a captured sun. Then, the same woman, older now, carefully placing that incandescent spear within a shimmering crystalline case. When the time comes, her voice resonated through the ages. Let it decide. Connor gasped, recoiling. His visions were usually fleeting glimpses, shattered fragments. This felt like a history book force-fed at warp speed. Connor K3P bobbed, a flicker of programmed concern. Your vitals surged alarmingly. Shall I provide medical intervention? I have numerous romantic simulations involving battlefield medicine that might— I'm quite all right. Connor shook his head, trying to dispel the lingering after-images. The spear is embedded approximately 30 meters down, in the central chamber. Excellent. Though I must advise that Tyelian tombs typically incorporate trials of worthiness for those who would despoil them. I am not a despoiler. I am an independent archaeological contractor. Naturally, though I doubt the security protocols acknowledge such a distinction. Connor drew his plasma cutter, activating his shield generator. The comforting heft of his gear steadied his nerves, despite the perspiration beading on his brow. Tyal Prime's atmosphere was breathable, yet sweltering, and the latent energy from the ley lines made his hair prickle beneath his jacket. Remain close, he instructed K3P, and for the sake of Earth's ravaged oceans, maintain silence unless you detect a threat. Understood. Though I ought to mention that in Passion's plasma, the protagonist's inaugural kiss took place within a sepulchre remarkably similar to— Connor was already advancing, K3P hurrying to keep pace. The tomb's interior defied conventional engineering. Passageways coiled at impossible angles, and on multiple occasions, Connor felt as though they were traversing the ceiling. Eerie bioluminescent flora cast a spectral blue-green illumination, causing shadows to writhe as if alive. His innate gift guided him. Each surface he encountered revealed echoes of the past. Mourners bearing the matriarch's remains, sentinels standing guard, and perpetually, that spear thrumming with a potent energy that made his teeth ache, even within the visions. Connor, K3P whispered, a rare moment of appropriate restraint. I am detecting activity ahead. Multiple life signatures, life signs within a tomb. Perhaps they are exceptionally patient mourners. Connor peered past a crystalline protrusion. The central chamber lay before them, a vast expanse dominated by an elevated dais. And there, encased within what appeared to be solid light, rested the Spear of Eternal Oath. It was anticlimactic. Connor had envisioned something ostentatious, adorned with precious stones or intricate carvings. Instead, the spear was unadorned, almost utilitarian. The haft seemed crafted from a light-absorbing obsidian metal, and the blade was a crystalline shard that stirred an unsettling familiarity with the visions he'd experienced. That's it, he murmured. Frequently, the most potent artifacts possess the most modest exteriors, K3P observed. Within the romantic epic Hearts of Neutronum, the humble ring that— Movement in his peripheral vision silenced the droid's pronouncement. Connor's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm, but the figures emerging from the gloom were not spectral guardians or automated defenses. They were undeniably corporeal, heavily armed, and decidedly displeased by his presence. So, the lead figure declared, stepping into the illumination. The Terran arrives. Connor's breath hitched. She was imposing, easily 6 feet tall, her skin the hue of the twilight sky, her hair cascading past her shoulders in waves of impossible pink. Her features held a human beauty, yet possessed an alien otherworldliness. She wore form-fitting armor that unmistakably highlighted her athletic physique, and carried herself with the effortless assurance of one who had never known defeat. Her eyes captivated him. They shifted from violet to gold as she scrutinized him, like trapped sunsets within amber. "I doubt you are here to offer encouragement." Connor maintained a steady tone, his hand still hovering near his weapon. "I am Zra Tayel." She uttered it as if it should carry inherent significance. When Connor remained unresponsive, her eyes flared, undoubtedly more violet now. "Daughter of matriarch Candria, keeper of this tomb, and profoundly curious as to what a human believes he is doing in my mother's resting place." "I possess a work order." Connor presented his hands, attempting to convey an aura of non-threatening professionalism. "Galactic Museum, all official documentation. Your government sanctioned the retrieval." "Did they?" Zra's smile was as sharp as the energy blade at her hip. "How intriguing. Because as I recall, our government possessed the good sense to refrain from authorizing tomb desecration." "Archaeological recovery," Connor corrected reflexively. "Theft," she retorted. "Look, Lady Princess," one of her escorts helpfully interjected. "Technically, Your Highness," Connor amended, noting the subtle tightening of Zra's jaw at the appellation. "I am merely here to complete an assignment, in and out. No disrespect is intended. Your people consented to this." "My people," Zra enunciated slowly, "would never consent to disturbing the Spear of Eternal Oath, which suggests either you are fabricating falsehoods or a member of the government is engaged in subterfuge." She drew nearer, and Connor detected her fragrance. It evoked the scent of rain and wildflowers, albeit wildflowers possessing a deadly allure. His grip tightened on the microbolt concealed within his pocket. 3 rotations inward, 2 outward. "Advise your—" "How about we declare this a misunderstanding?" he suggested. "I'll depart. You can handle the official documents with your government, and we'll all act as if this never transpired." "Oh, I don't think so," Zara replied, her voice laced with a sly challenge. She was close enough now that he noticed shimmering silver flecks within her eyes, their color a fluid dance. "You've journeyed this far. By all means claim the spear." Connor recognized a snare when he encountered one. "What's the catch?" "No catch," she purred. "The vault will unlock for anyone the spear deems worthy." Her smile broadened. "Naturally, the unworthy tend to experience rapid molecular disintegration, but I'm certain a professional like yourself was aware of that." "K3P, Connor stated softly. "You failed to mention any worthiness trials." "Perhaps I overlooked that particular detail," the droid chirped, "though this bears a striking resemblance to episode 403 of Love's Burning Lance, where—" "Not now," Zara interrupted, circling him with a predatory grace. "What's troubling you, Earthling? Are you faltering?" "Merely reconsidering my fee," Connor countered, moving towards the dais, acutely aware of Zara mirroring his every step. The spear seemed to throb within its casing, or perhaps it was his imagination. "And what happens if someone worthy claims it?" According to custom, Zara's eyes were now a definite gold, blazing with anticipation. "They become bound to the spear and to the lineage of she who last bore it." "Bound how? Why don't you discover that for yourself?" Every instinct screamed at Connor to retreat. This was precisely the sort of mystical entanglement that led archaeologists to their demise. Yet 50,000 credits, Maddie at Harvard, a life free from constant evasion. He reached for the case. The instant his fingers brushed the light construct, his abilities surged with overwhelming force. Power flooded his mind. Not visions this time, but raw sensation. The immense weight of centuries. The lingering echoes of conflicts fought long before humankind harnessed fire. And beneath it all, a consciousness, vast, alien, and undeniably amused. Finally, a voice, not truly a voice, whispered in his thoughts. "Someone interesting." The case vanished. Connor's hand closed around the spear's shaft before he could prevent it. The world detonated. Energy coursed up his arm, through his very being, fundamentally rewriting his genetic code. He witnessed the spear's genesis, forged in the heart of a dying star, wielded by the primal Taelian warriors, passed down through countless generations of matriarchs. He saw Candria's final stand, her profound decision to bind the spear to her bloodline with ties that defied even death. And then he saw the trap. Not for him, but for anyone who sought power through brute force rather than intrinsic merit. Connor's vision cleared. He stood upon the dais, the spear gripped in his hand, miraculously intact. Around him, Zara's guards had instinctively retreated several paces. Zara herself gazed at him, her expression unreadable, her eyes cycling through a spectrum of colors as if witnessing a sunset accelerated. Well, she finally uttered, her voice a mixture of disbelief and dismay. That's hardly the reaction I anticipated. Connor attempted to release the spear. It remained stubbornly in his grasp. Why can't I let go? By retrieving the sacred spear from my mother's resting place, Zara interjected, her tone adopting a sudden formal gravity. You have become my lawful husband. The entirety of this planet stands as witness. As if cued, K3P projected a holographic image of Connor's bewildered face onto every visible screen across Tyal Prime. A timestamp confirmed the broadcast was live. I'm your husband? Connor's voice cracked, embarrassingly. Husband, mate, bonded companion. Zara approached, her movements now less predatory, more resigned. The spear has chosen you, by our most ancient laws. This makes you my consort. But you didn't mention this wasn't part of the job description. No, Zara conceded, now close enough for him to see the tension in her jaw, hinting at suppressed emotion. I imagine it wasn't. Someone orchestrated this. The question remains why. Can't we just annul it? The only means to sever the bond is through death, yours or mine. She tilted her head. I'd prefer to avoid that outcome. Connor's grip on the spear tightened involuntarily. The microbolt in his pocket felt impossibly heavy. There must be another way. There isn't. Zara's gaze settled on Violet. Sad, Connor realized, recognizing the hue of profound sorrow. Believe me, if there were, I would have discovered it years ago. This is so wonderfully romantic. K3 spun in delighted circles. A marriage of convenience, fraught with cross-cultural tension and simmering attraction. A classic enemies to lovers narrative. K3P. Yes. Cease your commentary. A new hologram materialized within the chamber, depicting a three-eyed being whom Connor recognized as some form of judge or official. By the time-honored laws of Tyal Prime, the figure declared, his voice resonating powerfully, let all bear witness to the claiming of Zyal by the bearer of the sacred spear. The bond is recognized. The union is sealed. Wait, Connor protested. Don't I need to sign anything? Say I do? There are regulations for this kind of thing. The spear has made its choice, the judge stated simply. That is all the law requires. He paused, then continued. However, tradition does dictate the sealing kiss. Connor turned to Zara, intending to voice further objections, but she was already moving, her hand cupping his face, and he. It took a breath-stealing moment to register the unnatural coolness of her skin before her lips found his. The ancient spear in his grasp thrummed with a sudden, potent warmth. Connor's ability flared again, but this time, instead of the past, he was deluged by fragments of Zra's hidden life. Lonely hours spent honing her skills in empty halls. The ache of watching other girls depart for exhilarating off-world adventures, while she remained chained by unyielding duty. The raw grief at her mother's funeral, rigidly suppressed, for matriarchs could never show weakness. She recoiled, her eyes wide with a dawning horror. What did you? I saw the bond, the judge's voice cut in, unnervingly jubilant. Already it manifests. Congratulations to the royal couple. May your union bring eternal glory to Tyal Prime. The hologram flickered into non-existence, leaving Connor clutching an alien spear, inadvertently bound to an alien princess, as his battered droid chirped gleefully, rattling off statistics about improbably successful interspecies relationships. One last job, he muttered under his breath, a hollow laugh escaping him. What else could possibly go wrong? Connor, Zra's voice was a quiet tremor. Her hand, still warm, lingered against his cheek. We have a problem, far, far greater than our accidental marriage. Her gaze flickered towards the tomb's ominous entrance. You were not alone in your arrival, and the others, they will not be pleased by this development. As if conjured by her grim prophecy, a figure peeled itself from the deep shadows. Tall, skin like polished silver, exuding a lethal elegance that made Connor's primal combat instincts scream a silent, desperate warning. The newcomer's long, aristocratic fingers toyed with a shimmering violet brooch at his throat. Zra, the man purred, his voice silken, dripping with a poison Connor couldn't quite place. I see you've been busy. Zra's hand dropped from Connor's face, but she remained steadfastly at his side. Perfect timing, as always. I do try. Leandor's icy gaze impaled Connor, devouring every detail. The ancient spear, Zra's protective closeness, the damning implications of their bond. So this is the Earthman. He's precisely as quaint as I imagined. Quaint? Connor's hackles rose, a familiar heat flushing his neck. Listen, pal, I'm Connor Blade. Leandor offered a predatory smile that revealed too many perfect teeth. Ah, yes, the universe's favored disaster. The accidental hero of Europa. How utterly fascinating that you've stumbled into yet another situation entirely beyond your limited comprehension. He glided closer, the violet brooch glinting dangerously. Oh, I know you, Mr. Blade. It's my prerogative to know every piece on the board. Though I confess, his voice dropped, a silky whisper, I didn't expect our government's audacious gambit to actually bear fruit. The odds of a human bonding with the spear were astronomically low. Gambit. Zra's voice was a whisper that could have frozen nebulae. What game are you playing? Leandor offered a low, cultured laugh, sharp as fractured ice. You didn't truly believe the museum job was merely real, did you? No, someone orchestrated this. Someone desired an outsider to claim the spear, to deliberately muddy the sacred waters of succession, to shatter centuries of traditional alliances. His gaze rested, heavy with unspoken history, on Zra, and Connor didn't need a translator or alien vision to see the long, bitter history etched between them. Of course, Zra whispered, a dawning horror in her voice. The marriage negotiations the council was pushing for the logical choice, wasn't it? Leandor's voice was laced with venom. Precisely. But now you have a human consort. How unconventional. Connor looked between them, the puzzle pieces of a far larger, more dangerous picture slammed into place in his mind. You two, you were meant to marry, weren't you? Were, Leandor agreed, his tone chilling. Past tense. All thanks to your disruptive presence. He stepped closer, and Connor smelled the clean scent of rain mingled with something acrid, like ozone and resentment. Tell me, Earthman, do you truly comprehend what you've stumbled into? The wars you've unwittingly sparked? The fragile alliances you've irrevocably shattered? I know I was hired for a simple retrieval job, Connor retorted, his grip on the spear tightening until his knuckles blanched. I didn't ask for any of this. No, Leandor's mouth twisted into a cruel, razor-sharp smile. Just like you didn't ask to be the hero of Europa. Some people, Mr. Blade, are chaos made flesh. They lay waste to lives, to established orders, simply by breathing. That's enough! Zra surged forward, every inch the formidable warrior princess, placing herself between the two men. Leandor, what is done, is done. The spear has chosen. The ancient law is undeniably clear. The law. Leandor's fingers stilled on his brooch, a predatory glint in his eyes. Yes, let's discuss the law. And what happens when someone utterly unworthy of you holds your very leash, Zra? No one holds my leash, Zra snarled, a low guttural growl rising from deep within her. Oh, don't they? Leandor's gaze snapped to the Spear of Eternal Oath in Connor's hand. He holds the Spear of Eternal Oath by law that makes him your equal in all things, your partner in rule, your— I know what it makes him, Zra cut him off, her voice dangerously low. Do you? Because from where I stand, it looks like you've been collared by a common grave robber who— Zra moved with a blur of speed Connor barely registered. One instant she was beside him. The next, the chilling hum of her energy blade vibrated inches from Leandor's throat. Choose your next words very carefully, she breathed, her voice a deadly whisper. Leandor didn't flinch, merely met her blazing gaze. You would draw blood in your own mother's sacred tomb, for him. I defend what is mine, Zra snarled, her eyes blazing with raw, untamed gold, as is my sovereign right. Yours? Leandor's laugh was a harsh, bitter sound. For now. He stepped back, hands raising slowly in a theatrical show of surrender. The humming energy blade followed his retreat for a tense moment before Zra's hand dropped, and it flickered, then vanished. This isn't over, Leandor stated, straightening the impeccably tailored folds of his formal jacket. The council will hear of this. The proper challenges will be made. Be assured of that. Let them come. Zra's voice was steel. Leandor's gaze found Connor again, a cold, parting shot. Enjoy your victory, Earthman. His voice was chillingly soft, however fleeting it may prove to be. He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing, crisp and hollow, in the crystal-lined chamber until the silence of the tomb utterly consumed them. Connor let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Well, he seems pleasant. He is many things, Zra replied, her energy blade vanishing back into its sheath with a soft hiss. Nice is not among them. Were you really going to marry him? Connor asked, the question feeling absurd on his tongue. Politics, Zra sighed, a single, weary word. A chilling decree echoed through the chamber. The council, desperate to forge unity, demanded the strengthening of ancient power structures. My mother, steadfast in her defiance, was ultimately consumed by the relentless pressure. Now, someone had gambled on antiquated law and human curiosity. She faced him squarely. Congratulations, Connor Blade. You are now the most wanted man on Tyal Prime. A mocking chuckle resonated from the pulsating spear in his grasp, a weapon both amused and ominous. Can this be a misunderstanding, and might I return home? He was inextricably bound to this artifact. Zra's expression, unreadable as ever, spoke of a homecoming in a terrifying way. The weight of her words pressed upon Connor, heavy as a world's gravity. Maddie, Harvard, promises whispered in good faith, now fractured and distant. This mirrored the beginning of K3P. Shut up, Connor and Zra uttered in perfect synchronicity. The droid's sensor flickered, acknowledging their perfect harmony. Studies revealed a 78% compatibility rating for their unusual bond. Gold and violet, a mesmerizing alien kaleidoscope, shone in Zra's eyes, utterly unmoved by the situation. One last assignment, he said, and she smiled. The spear's luck awaits. Despite the unwelcome marriage, the political storm, and the impossible weapon, a reluctant smile touched Connor's lips. And now, Zra's expression shifted, a flicker of something like humor in her eyes. We strive to keep you alive long enough to uncover your enemies, and then we make them pay. A chillingly beautiful smile lit her face. Connor stared at the spear, the alien princess, the malfunctioning droid spewing statistics. Maddie waited for news of his quest. Instead of credits, he now held a wife, a weapon, and a looming war. Blade luck, he muttered. As she led him from the tomb, her movements both lethal and mesmerizing, he observed a vulnerability beneath the warrior's mask. Lonely, beautiful, yearning for freedom from the confines of tradition. They might have more in common than they thought. Ancient laughter echoed from the crystalline chamber, warm in the spear's pulsation. One last assignment, indeed. The palace transport lurched violently. The alien world unfurled below, a breathtaking circuit board of living crystal. Bioluminescent advertisements and warnings surrounded the alien structures. Home sweet home, Zra murmured. Scorch marks marred her armor, a silent testament to the attempt on her life. Someone already targeted you, Connor confirmed, his grip on the spear tightening. 3 eyes followed their descent. Traditionalists wasted no time. K3P bobbed nervously beside them. Tyalian marriage customs demanded isolation. 7 days of enforced separation, a protocol to be ignored here. Connor had shortened the droid's designation. More convenient, Zra's hand moved with terrifying speed. A restraining bolt secured K3P, its voice plunged into a guttural growl. That's better, the droid rasped, referencing a fictional book. Temporary, Connor insisted. Depends on how irritating he gets. A crystalline landing platform awaited. The council, eager to verify their bond. Verify how? Her smile, a row of sharp teeth. Biosignatures, pheromones, and the weapon's resonance with their DNA. Silence descended as their ship touched down, bringing a halt to the engines. If the spear judged them incompatible, ancient law demanded their execution. Their bloodline was considered tainted. Her eyes pierced him with a deep intensity. A deep violet rage consumed him. Frustration mounted as he struggled to grasp their ways. Death absolves all mistakes, he muttered. Then, your legal system is a joke. No argument echoed back. The hatch hissed open, revealing a rigid formation of guards on the platform, energy weapons held at the ready, though not yet aimed. Ready to meet the in-laws? Zira asked, her tone laced with sardonic humor. Do I have a choice in this charade? You always possess choices, Connor. It's just that right now, they all suck. She moved with an effortless grace onto the platform, the weight of her armor seeming to vanish. Connor trailed behind her, acutely aware of the guard's eyes boring into him, tracking every move. The spear in his hand vibrated, responding to the pressure building within him. Or perhaps it simply found the situation amusing. Hard to decipher the intentions of a weapon that was almost sentient. Inside the palace, the architecture was a jarring blend of ancient grandeur and cutting-edge technology. Time-worn stone walls were overlaid with shimmering holographic projections. Tradition and progress locked in a silent, architectural battle. Connor fought the urge to trace the contours of the walls, to absorb their history, but kept his hand jammed in his pocket. "The council chamber lies this way," Zira stated, leading him down a corridor that seemed to defy the very laws of space. "Whatever unfolds in there, let me handle the talking. Wasn't planning on giving a speech anyway." "Good, because your accent would incite a diplomatic incident." "My accent?" Connor's hackles rose. "Lady, I speak 3 Earth languages flawlessly and passable galactic standard. It's not my fault your language sounds like someone choking on shattered glass." Zara stopped so abruptly he almost plowed into her. When she turned, her eyes burned with molten gold, amusement dancing within. "Did you just compare our sacred tongue to gargling? If the boot fits, we don't wear boots." "An Earth idiom," she said, then added, "uttered by a man whose culture has 47 words for honor, but 0 for casual Friday." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. "That's because every day here is a day worthy of honor, Earthman." Sounds exhausting. It is. The air crackled between them, thick with an unspoken tension. Then, massive doors at the corridor's end groaned open, shattering the fragile moment. The council chamber was a theater of political machinations. 13 figures floated in a circle of levitating chairs, their faces obscured by holographic masks that constantly shifted between ceremonial patterns. At the heart of the circle, a scanning platform waited like a high-tech executioner's block. Zara Tayel, the central figure in the mask, Connor recognized Judge Armar's 3-eyed visage. "You bring the off-worlder for verification?" "I bring my lawfully wedded husband, as tradition dictates," Zara replied, her voice ringing with steel. "Tradition," another counselor interjected, leaning forward. "Tradition implies the husband would be Taelian." "The spear made its choice," Zara stated simply. "Or do you dare to question the ancient wisdom of our ancestors?" A wave of murmurs rippled through the chamber. Connor caught snippets. Contamination. Political catastrophe. What will the outer colonies think? "Enough," Armar's voice cut through the rising tide of dissent. "The law is clear. If the bond is genuine, we must accept it." He left the unspoken consequence hanging in the air. Zara stepped onto the platform. Connor followed close behind. Up close, he could see the strain in her shoulders, the way her hand hovered near her weapon. "Hey," he said quietly. "We'll get through this." Her eyes flicked to him, the purple worry shifting to a glimmer of gold surprise. "You're reassuring me?" "Someone has to," he said with a wry smile. "Initiate scan," Armar commanded. Light enveloped them. Connor's skin prickled as strange energies probed his very being. The spear grew warm, then searing hot, reacting to the invasion. Visions flooded his mind. The tomb, the kiss, Zara's eyes cycling through a spectrum of colors like a sunset. "Interesting," Armar murmured. "The bonding is unconventional." "Unconventional how?" Zara demanded, her tone sharp. "The spear has merged with the human's nervous system, deeper than we have seen in generations. Extraordinary." The judge's 3 eyes bored into Connor. "Tell me, off-worlder, do you possess any genetic modifications?" Connor's throat constricted. Europa, the accident, the radiation that had twisted his DNA just enough to give him his unusual gift. "There was an incident 5 years ago. Precursor technology." "Precursor!" The council erupted. Connor picked out fragmented phrases. "Impossible. Contaminated blood," and what sounded suspiciously like Taelian curse words. "The precursors are extinct," a counselor snapped, her mask contorting in disgust. "Their technology is dead." "Their technology saved 600 human lives," Connor retorted, his voice sharp. "And apparently, it left me just alien enough for your spear to notice. You admit to being genetically compromised?" "I admit to being alive when I should be dead." Connor met each masked gaze head-on. "If that compromises me, then so be it." "The scan is complete," Armar announced, his voice resonating through the chamber. "The bond is legitimate. Unusually strong, in fact. The marriage stands." A wave of relief washed over Connor, followed immediately by a surge of confusion. Why was he relieved? He wanted out of this marriage, didn't he? However, Armar continued, his tone taking on a chilling edge, given these extraordinary circumstances, the Council requires further proof of compatibility. We just proved our compatibility, Zara began, her voice laced with irritation. Genetic compatibility, yes, Armar said smoothly, but a royal marriage necessitates more. The judge's mask shifted, perhaps revealing a smile. You have 7 days to demonstrate physical and social compatibility. Public appearances, ceremonial duty. The pause was definitely a deliberate demand for cohabitation. You want us to play house? Connor translated, but another counselor's voice cut through the air, sharp and unyielding. We want you to prove this isn't a sham, that the off-worlder indeed is capable of fulfilling his consort duties. A refusal, they asserted, would be taken as irrefutable proof of a fraudulent union, with consequences to follow. And those consequences? Death. Connor felt a chilling weariness descend. It seemed death was always the chillingly convenient, terrifyingly swift default punishment in this brutal realm. But before he could formulate a protest, Zara's voice, steady and clear, resonated across the chamber. We accept. 7 days, full protocols. A chillingly satisfied hum echoed through the hall as Remar's chair drifted higher still. Your quarters await. Guard rotations have been adjusted for your protection. Try not to perish before the week's end. The council then dispersed, their opulent chairs gliding away like a school of detached, predatory jellyfish. Only Connor and Zara remained, marooned on the vast platform. Cohabitation, Connor murmured, the word tasting bitter. They expect us to share everything. Quarters, meals, even a bed. Zara's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping in her cheek. To prove we're a genuine couple. But we aren't. Not truly. Her eyes, once again a deep, troubled violet, held a flicker of something he couldn't decipher. A fleeting vulnerability, perhaps. We are not. Zara's quarters, encompassing an entire floor of the palace's opulent east wing, dwarfed anything Connor had ever seen. He stepped over the threshold and felt his breath catch, stolen by the sheer scale. The main chamber alone eclipsed most Earth apartments, its walls subtly shifting from crystalline transparency to solid, private opacity. With a mere thought, bioluminescent flora cast ethereal, soft light, creating serene pools of illumination, while a mesmerizing water feature, part abstract art, part ingenious plumbing, commanded one corner. Every detail, every shimmering surface, spoke of immense wealth, undeniable power, and exquisite, refined taste. Cozy, Connor managed, the word an absurd understatement. Zara moved through the vast expanse like a phantom, her voice a near whisper. It was my mother's. I haven't altered anything since her death. The unspoken grief, the raw, lingering pain, hung heavy in the air. He cleared his throat. So, where do I— The bed is through there, Zara interrupted, pointing to an archway shimmering with vibrant energy. It's amply sized for 2. Right, of course. Connor carefully propped his spear against a wall. It would never truly leave his grip, but at least it wasn't in his immediate path. I can take the floor, or that couch-like structure. Zara turned, her eyes now unmistakably molten gold. You would reject your wife? She challenged softly. It's not rejection. It's respect. Neither of us chose this. No, we didn't. She drifted closer, and Connor inhaled that intoxicating scent again, the crispness of rain, the sweet perfume of wildflowers, underlaid by a subtle, almost electric hum-something, profoundly, uniquely her. But the servants will talk. The council has eyes and ears everywhere. If word spreads that the human won't even share my bed, it will ignite a political firestorm, a personal catastrophe for us both. She was so near now that Connor could discern the delicate, luminous patterns beneath her skin, like intricate circuitry woven from starlight. I am not asking you to perform, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Only to maintain appearances. Appearances. Connor's voice was rougher than intended, a low rasp. Right, unless— Her golden eyes flickered, a hint of something else swirling within them, unreadable. Unless you desire more. The unspoken question hung heavy between them, a fragile, dangerous challenge. Connor's hand instinctively sought his pocket, fingers closing around the cold, reassuring microbolt. 3 rotations left, 2 right, steady, professional. He forced his mind away from the way her armor sculpted every curve, away from the phantom taste of alien spice and electricity on his lips. "I just want to survive the week," he stated at last, his voice firm. A complex flicker crossed Zara's exquisite features. Was it disappointment? Relief? "Practical," she murmured, a faint smile touching her lips. "I can work with practical." From his corner, Slurred's voice, muffled but distinct, drawled, "Oh, the tension is delicious." "How long does that restraining bolt last?" Connor demanded, annoyance overriding discomfort. "Another hour," Slurred replied. Zara moved gracefully towards what appeared to be a kitchen area. "Hungry?" she asked. "I should warn you, palace food is—" Connor finished, a grimace forming. "Terrible? Or is it traditional, which is somehow worse?" Zara opened a shimmering compartment. A refrigerator, perhaps. "Traditional," she confirmed, a note of distaste in her voice. "And aggressively ceremonial. 17 courses, each burdened with specific meaning and exacting requirements." Connor joined her, peering into an unsettling array of unidentifiable edibles. "What's that purple thing?" he ventured, pointing. "Fermented grabbladder," Zara explained flatly. "It represents marital endurance." Hard pass. Connor scanned the contents more thoroughly. "Do you have any actual ingredients? Raw stuff?" "Why?" Zara's eyebrows arched in surprise. "Because I'm going to cook for you." "You cook?" she repeated, genuine astonishment in her tone. "Soldier's best friend," Connor shrugged, already rummaging. "You learn to make field rations taste good, or you starve. Plus," he added, pulling out items that looked vaguely familiar, "I raised a teenage sister. You learn quick." Barely 20 minutes later, the rich, savory aroma of sizzling meat, or a very convincing approximation thereof, permeated the opulent quarters. With a mix of ingenuity and sheer determination, Connor had cobbled together something remarkably close to burgers using local ingredients. The fries proved trickier, but a surprisingly versatile root vegetable that hinted at spicy potato worked wonders in a pinch. "It smells like a garage," Zara commented, though she hadn't moved from her perch on the counter, her golden eyes intently fixed on his movements. "Best garage you ever tasted," Connor countered, confidently flipping the patties. Muscle memory took over, his hands moving with an ease born of repetition. How many times had he done this for Maddie? Late nights after homework, early mornings before school, the simple grounding rituals of a normal life that felt impossibly distant now. "You miss her," Zara observed quietly, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it. Connor's hand stilled over the pan. "Who?" "Your sister. You get this look when you're thinking about her." "Yeah," he admitted, refocusing on the cooking. "She's all I've got. No parents. Dead. Mom was gone when Maddie turned 3. Dad when she was 10. Connor's words emerged devoid of feeling, a well-rehearsed, empty cadence. "It's been just us since then." Zara's voice, steeped in shared understanding, carried an unexpected gravity. To be everything for someone. Their sole anchor. Connor met her gaze. "You too? You had someone?" A flicker of pain crossed her alien features. "My mother's sister's daughter, Lisa. She was cut down in a border skirmish 3 years past." Zara's eyes, swirling with grief, shifted to a desolate purple gray. "She longed to be a poet. I insisted she be a warrior first, a poet second. Now she is neither." "I'm so sorry," Connor offered. "So am I." With a profound, visible effort, she shook off the oppressive pall. "Is that meant to be a blaze?" Zara asked, a hint of genuine alarm in her tone. Connor, quick as thought, snatched the smoking pan from the burner. "It's perfectly fine," he assured her, a wry smile playing on his lips. "Just exceptionally crispy." Moments later, they found themselves seated at what Connor surmised was a dining table, though its avant-garde design made it indistinguishable from a sculpture. Zara regarded the burger with suspicion, as if it might spring to life. "It's safe," Connor vowed. "Mostly." She took a tiny, hesitant bite. Her eyes, startling in their sudden shift, widened, swirling through a kaleidoscope of hues Connor had never witnessed. "It's—" she started, then took another, much larger bite. "Why is it so incredibly delicious?" Connor winked conspiratorially. "Secret ingredient, grease. Your people forge bonds through honor and brutal combat. Mine? We bond through glorious, heart-stopping cholesterol. It's repulsive, Zra declared, yet she devoured half the burger in 3 ravenous bites. And I utterly adore it. A comfortable silence settled between them, punctuated only by the sounds of their shared meal. The bizarre domesticity of the moment squeezed Connor's chest. A poignant ache. When was the last time he'd truly shared a meal with someone who wasn't actively plotting his demise, or emptying his pockets? "Thank you, Zara," she murmured finally, her voice soft, "for this, and for your understanding regarding the sleeping arrangements." "Yeah, well," Connor mumbled, pushing fries aimlessly around his plate. "We're both trapped here. Might as well make it tolerable." "Tolerable?" she echoed, testing the unfamiliar word on her tongue. "Is that truly what this is?" Before Connor could even begin to formulate a reply, the lights above them flickered ominously. Zra moved with predatory grace, a blur of motion as she rolled from her chair, a deadly whisper of displaced air where her head had been. Connor reacted instantly, heaving the heavy table over, creating a makeshift shield as searing energy bolts gouged fiery trails through the air. "How many?" he roared, his voice cutting through the sudden chaos. "3, maybe 4! Zra's unique blade materialized in her hand, its energy field crackling with lethal purpose. "They've bypassed the palace security systems," she gritted out. "Welcome to Tyelian politics." A stealth-clad assassin rounded their flimsy barricade, a silent, deadly wraith. Connor moved purely on instinct, the spear leaping to his grip as if it belonged there, driving it with brutal force through the attacker's chest. The alien blade shrieked through armor as if it were mere parchment, and Connor felt the weapon's ancient, bloodthirsty satisfaction purr deep within his very mind. From the shadows above, another attacker dropped from the ceiling. Zra rose to meet them, her blade a whirlwind of shimmering light, painting intricate, deadly patterns in the air. They danced. There was no other word for the savage grace of it, violence, in her hands, transmuted into horrifying, exquisite art. Connor spun, the spear moving as a seamless extension of his own will, to confront a third assassin. Duck, parry, thrust, a primal rhythm of combat, muscle memory from his core world seamlessly interwoven with something profoundly alien. Something the spear itself whispered, a cold, ancient song, deep in his very bones. The assassin crumpled, a wet, choking gurgle escaping from behind their featureless mask. "Connor!" Zra's warning, sharp as a blade, came mere heartbeats from disaster. The fourth attacker had already lined up their shot, an energy rifle pulsing with malevolent light. Connor knew, with a chilling certainty, he wouldn't be fast enough. Then Zra was there, slamming into him with bone-jarring force, sending them both crashing to the scorched floor. The deadly bolt seared just inches overhead, so close Connor could taste the acrid tang of burning air. They rolled, a desperate tangle of limbs, then surged to their feet as one. Without a moment's hesitation, Connor hurled the spear. It punched through the assassin's rifle, then through their chest, then exploded through the wall beyond. The weapon, still invisibly tethered, tried to yank Connor forward, but Zra was a solid anchor, catching him, using his own momentum to swing him clear. They ended up pressed hard against the nearest wall, her body a shield over his, both gasping, raw breaths. "You saved me," Connor rasped, the words rough with adrenaline. "You saved me first," Zra countered, her eyes pure molten gold, shining with the fierce brilliance of distant stars. "Guess we're even." A beat of charged silence. "Zra." But she cut him off, her mouth finding his. This was no formal, chaste press of lips like the one in the tomb, but something raw, ravenous, desperate. Connor's free hand plunged into the vibrant silk of her pink hair, pulling her impossibly closer. She tasted of exotic, alien spice, of savory burger grease, and the electric tang of adrenaline. Beneath his touch, her skin began to glow, not metaphorically, but truly, incandescently. The intricate circuit patterns etched beneath her translucent skin flared to life like bioluminescent tattoos, pulsing in rhythmic sync with her rapid heartbeat. Wherever her skin met his, Connor felt an astonishing jolt of electricity, not painful, but intensely alive, like grasping a live wire sheathed in the softest silk. "Your markings," he breathed, his voice a whisper against her lips. "Stress response," she murmured back, her voice a husky purr, before reclaiming his mouth. "Combat arousal. Utterly deliciously inappropriate." "Really?" Connor's hand traced a trembling, glowing line down the elegant curve of her neck. "Because from where I'm standing—" "Lying," she corrected, her voice husky. and he suddenly realized they had, somehow, ended up sprawled horizontally. From where I'm lying, it feels rather appropriate. She pulled back just enough to search his face, her eyes swirling with colors he simply had no names for. "This doesn't mean anything," she stated, a desperate plea in her voice. "Absolutely not," Connor readily agreed, his own voice ragged. "We're merely processing adrenaline, completely logical. And tomorrow," she continued, "we revert to being strangers who coincidentally happen to be married." "Sounds like a plan." Their gazes locked for a single, charged heartbeat. Then Zra uttered something guttural and distinctly profane in Tyrielion, and kissed him again, with renewed hunger. Later, much later, they lay tangled amidst the shattered wreckage of the dining area. Palace security, having arrived with an unsettling, almost casual lack of surprise, had already removed the assassin's inert forms. Connor's shirt. Hidden within the water feature's embrace, Zara's armor bore intriguing new scratches. Connor, gazing upward, muttered about the incident as Zara, her head nestled against his shoulder, her pink hair a gentle caress against his jaw, whispered, "Adrenaline surge." His fingers traced the fading luminescence on her arm, a mesmerizing glow. "Very thorough," he murmured. "Shut up," she retorted playfully. A comfortable silence settled between them. Then, Zara's voice, soft as a whisper, broke the stillness. "The fries survived." Connor's head snapped up. There they were, the alien fries, untouched, on the overturned table. He declared solemnly, "Priorities." Her laughter, unexpected and exquisite, filled the air. "You're ridiculous," she chuckled. "You're blue, glowing, and utterly observant." He responded, "Not anymore." Yet a faint pulse of light still danced within her markings. "Liar," she playfully accused, sealing her words with a slow, lingering kiss. "This means nothing," she insisted, to which Connor readily agreed. "Of course not. We're complete strangers, married strangers processing a monumental adrenaline rush." Her laughter, a soft melody against his lips, was a sufficient answer. The next morning brought regret, awkwardness, and rigorous combat training. Zara, a predator circling her prey, declared, "Your stance is atrocious." They stood in the palace training grounds, a gravity-altered arena that made Connor feel submerged. He countered, "My stance is fine. You're just picky." "I'm trying to keep you alive," he added, his grip tightening on his practice spear. She corrected his posture, explaining, "Tyelian combat is about fluidity, not brute force. You fight like a human." "I am human," he stated. "Not anymore," she countered. Her blade whistled past his ear. "You bonded with our most sacred weapon. You're transformed." His parry was almost instinctual, the real spear humming in resonance from the arena's edge. "Helpful, real specific," he remarked sarcastically. Zara's attacks intensified. "Fine. You're my husband, making you a target. Every traditionalist wants you dead. Half the progressives see you as a political stunt, while the rest await your inevitable embarrassment." She swept his legs, sending him crashing to the mat. "So yes, I'm picky about your stance." He rolled, springing up, his spear meeting hers. For a breathless moment, their faces were inches apart. He asked, "Was that about last night?" Her eyes flared purple. "Last night was adrenaline." "You keep saying that because it's true," he retorted. She disengaged, her blade flashing to his throat before he could react. Hours of sparring ensued. Each fall taught him balance. Each bruise highlighted a defensive weakness. Occasionally he caught her off guard, as he did now, flowing beneath her attack, his spear hooking her ankle, sending the princess tumbling. He pinned her, both panting heavily. "Better," she conceded, a glint of gold in her eyes. "I'm a quick study. Prove it." The challenge ignited a fire in his chest. He leaned in, stopping just short of her lips. "Is that what you want?" Her words were cut short by the palace alarm's piercing shriek. They scrambled for their weapons as a hologram materialized, Judge Armar, his face etched with worry. "What now?" Zara demanded. "The Earthman's droid," Armar announced. "It's broadcasting everything." Connor's blood ran cold. "Broadcasting what?" Armar's expression spoke volumes. The council chamber had become a battleground, not of physical combat, but of something far more insidious. Political theater, laced with betrayal. The entire council, along with numerous noble houses, were present. Projected in the center of the room was security footage from Zara's quarters, footage of Connor recounting his tomb vision, revealing the truth about Zara's mother's assassination, that she was murdered, not honorably slain in battle. The reality of the situation slammed into him. Zara stood frozen, her eyes cycling through a kaleidoscope of colors. Leandor, looking like a weaponized fashion icon in his formal robes, sneered, "The Earthman claims visions. How convenient." Connor began to defend himself, but Zara's hand stilled him. "When was this recorded?" she inquired, her voice a deadly calm. "A few days ago," Remar replied. "Your droid has been selectively broadcasting moments for the past hour." The selective moments, chosen by whom, remained shrouded in mystery. The hologram shifted, showing Connor cooking, sharing Earth customs. Then Zara's laughter so rare he hadn't realized how precious it was until this moment. A chilling shock. "Oh no," Connor whispered, dread tightening his chest. The aftermath of battle, not the intimate horrors, but enough. Zra glowing, Connor shirtless, both raw with adrenaline. A murmur rippled through the crowd. "At least they're compatible." Zra's voice, a low snarl. "This is a violation. Security footage is sacred." Leandor, his voice smooth, cut in. "Unless it reveals treason. The Earthman claims your mother was murdered, a grave accusation." "Based on what?" Zra challenged, her gaze fierce. "His alleged visions." Connor, his voice a soft plea. "I have a gift. I can see through objects. That's how I found the spear." The chamber erupted. Shattered fragments stung the air. Alien contamination, a forbidden heresy. Unreliable off-world magic. Enough. Remar's voice boomed. "The footage is unsettling, but inconclusive." "But if Matriarch Salandria was indeed murdered," Leandor stated firmly, "she wasn't. I was there. Honorable combat. I witnessed it." A tremor of unease ran through Connor's core. He examined the silver-skinned man, noticing the way his fingers traced a violet brooch. "Then you have nothing to fear from an investigation," Zra retorted. "Investigation?" Leandor's laughter, a chilling crystal chime, was built on the hallucinations of a damaged human. "Based on questions ignored for years," Zra countered. "Enough," Remar raised a hand. "This demands careful deliberation." In the meantime, his three eyes fixated on Connor. "The Earthman will undergo a thorough psychological evaluation. If his visions prove valid, we'll proceed. If not..." Connor felt a knot of fear. Did he understand? Leor stepped forward. "Because from this vantage, it seems your tales are manipulating a grieving daughter. Is that truly the case?" Leandor's voice, lowered, whispered for only Connor to hear. "I know about your sister, Earthman. Your debts, your broken promises. Did you think no one would notice?" Connor's hand instinctively found the microbolt. 3 rotations left. 2 right. Leave her out of this." "Oh, I intend to." Leor smiled. "Earth is so far away. Accidents happen in space. Pirates, system failures. So many perils for a young woman traveling alone." The spear materialized in Connor's hand before he registered his own movement. Only Zra's grip on his wrist kept him from a fatal act. "He's threatening Maddie," Connor roared. "I am observing," Leandor corrected, his voice clear for all to hear. "How interesting that the Earthman resorts to violence when challenged." Enough. Zra's voice, icy and potent, could freeze the very blood. "Connor, we're leaving." But now she wrestled him from the chamber, the spear resisting every step. Connor heard Leandor's final words. 3 days, princess, and then the council votes. Choose your side carefully." Back in Zra's quarters, Connor paced, a caged beast. The spear spun in his hands, reflecting his turmoil. "He threatened my sister." "Yes." Zra stood by the window, gazing at the city below. "He knows about the visions." "Yes." "He was there when your mother died." "Yes, Zra." "Do you think I'm foolish?" Her eyes blazed with purple fire. "Do you think I don't know what Leandor is? What he is capable of? Then why? Because knowing and proving are distinct. Because Leandor has allies, influence, the weight of tradition. Because accusations without proof destroy reputations. I can uncover the truth. Let me touch something of your mother's. From that day." "No." The refusal echoed a physical blow. "You don't believe me. I don't know what to believe." Zra slumped. "Connor, you appeared from nowhere. You connected with our most sacred weapon. You claim to see the past. You are either the answer to prayers I never knew I was praying, or I am a con artist, exploiting your sorrow." The words tasted like ash. Can you blame me for doubt?" Connor wished to rage, but felt instead a profound exhaustion. Instead of anger, he sank onto the couch. "On Earth," he murmured, "there's a bird, the cuckoo. It lays its eggs in other birds' nests. The chicks hatch and force out the real babies, and the parents never suspect an imposter. Connor, that's what I am to you. The cuckoo, the fake." He met her gaze. "But I'm not lying about the visions. Your mother was murdered, and Leandor knows more than he admits." Zara studied him for a long moment. Then she reached a wall panel, her hand pressing against smooth stone. A hidden compartment slid open, revealing a small box. "This was hers," she said, her gaze unwavering. "She wore it the day she died." Connor took the box, his hands trembling. Inside, a simple chain with a pendant, the same symbol as the spear. "Are you sure?" he asked. "No," Zra's voice, a barely audible whisper. "But if you're lying to me, Connor Blade, I'll kill you myself." "Right." He touched the amulet. The vision slammed into him, a tidal wave of pure memory, shockingly vivid and intense. Candria, in her prime, confronted 3 combatants within the ritual circle. But something was amiss. One fighter moved with unnerving precision, a professional. A 4th figure, shrouded in shadow, manipulated a device. The energy field surrounding the circle sputtered sabotage. Candria noticed too late. The professional's blade found its mark, yet not before Salandria glimpsed the shadowy observer. It wasn't Leandor. It was someone Connor recognized, yet couldn't quite place. He awoke on the cold floor, Zra's arms cradling him, blood trickling from his nose. The vision's brutal intensity left him reeling. "What did you see?" Her eyes, the somber gray of grief, pierced him. "My mother, murdered," Connor confirmed, his voice raw. "But Leandor, he wasn't the killer. The memory clicked. He was in love with her. He'd tried to intervene, but someone knocked him unconscious. That explained his presence there. He'd awakened after her death, leaving everyone to wrongly assume. Zra's embrace tightened. "Who killed her?" Connor met her gaze, the metallic taste of blood mingling with the bitter truth. "I saw his face, but I don't know his name. An old man. 3 eyes." Zra froze, utterly still. "Describe him," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Connor obliged. With each detail, Zra's face hardened, shadowed by a chilling realization. "Counselor Tavar," she breathed, her voice laced with disbelief. "But he's dead. Died 2 years ago, in his sleep." Or so someone wanted them to believe. Connor struggled to sit upright. "Zra, what if—" Palace alarms blared again, this time heralding news that shattered their world. A guard's holographic projection materialized. "Princess, the Earthman's droid has been recovered. Memory wiped. Complete neural burn." "What?" Connor shot to his feet, his heart pounding. "Where is he?" "Medical bay. But Princess, there's more. Counselor R is convening an emergency session. The traditionalists are pushing for your marriage's immediate annulment. They have the votes." Zra's hand found his, her touch electric, desperate. "How long?" she asked, her voice a strained whisper. 2 hours, Highness. Then we have 2 hours to save our lives." She looked at him, her eyes unwavering. "I believe you, about the visions, about my mother, about us." "Zra, later." She squeezed his hand, her voice thick with emotion. "If we survive, we'll have forever for apologies. Right now, we must act." Connor nodded, his spear humming with a lethal anticipation. "What's the plan?" Her smile, sharp and fierce as starlight, sent a chill down his spine. "We're going to find out who truly murdered my mother. And then," her eyes blazed, gold as twin suns, "we're going to make them pay." "I love it when you talk violent," Connor murmured, his own adrenaline surging. "I know," she replied, kissing him, a quick, fierce, desperate kiss. "Come on, husband. Let's save our lives." Hand in hand, they fled their chambers, the spear singing a song of impending war. Behind them, the city lights flickered, dying embers against the encroaching darkness, and somewhere in those shadows, the true enemy waited, its 3 eyes patient and cold. The medical bay doors exploded inward. Connor launched himself into the fray, spear singing, while Zra provided covering fire with her energy blade. 3 guards crumpled before they could react, stunned, not dead. They lacked the time for executions. "Where is he?" Connor demanded, yanking a conscious guard upright. "Sub-level 3, the guard gasped, his eyes wide with terror. The droid! They said it was evidence! Connor dropped the guard and ran. The medical complex was a labyrinth, but the spear guided him with an almost supernatural instinct. Behind them, the alarms wailed their frantic escape. 90 minutes, Zra called, clearing a security barrier with a graceful leap. The council convenes in 90 minutes. We'd better find him before then. The door loomed. Connor's blood ran cold. He'd seen memory wipes before, the devastation they wrought on organic minds. For a droid, however, the spear sliced through the lock like warm butter. Inside, K3P floated in a suspension field, cables piercing his every port. His chassis was dark, his photoreceptors dead. Connor ripped the cables free, catching the droid as he fell. Come on, you annoying rust bucket. Wake up. Nothing. Connor! Zra's voice, edged with warning, cut through the silence. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Many footsteps. 30 seconds, Connor muttered, fingers dancing across K3P's manual interface. Just need 30. The droid's photoreceptor flickered once, twice, then blazed to life. Captain K3P's voice crackled, static-laced. I retain 73% of my memories and 100% certainty that you're in deep trouble. Tell me something I don't know. Connor tucked the droid under his arm. Can you fly? Partially, though I should mention my stabilizers are... Connor was already moving, the droid wobbling precariously behind him. They burst into the corridor just as 20 guards rounded the corner. Stop! In the name of Zra's blade! Zra's blade carved a warning line into the floor. Royal Override, stand down. Princess, the lead guard said cautiously, the council has revoked your authority. The council can kiss my ceremonial ass. She spun her blade in a mesmerizing figure 8, forcing the guards to retreat. Move or bleed. Choose wisely. They chose action. Connor and Zra bolted through the palace, veterans of 1,000 clandestine runs. She led, he followed, their weapons carving impossible paths. Keep offered running commentary. Left? No, wait, right. Actually, I'm 67% certain we're about to... Boom! The wall exploded. Traditionalist soldiers surged through, energy weapons blazing. Connor spun, deflecting bolts with his spear as Zra danced a deadly ballet, her blade a blur. Anytime, Cap, Connor yelled. Working on it. My memory fragments. Oh. The droid whirred excitedly. Captain, I recorded everything. Before the wipe protocols, I uploaded to a distributed backup. I have proof murder, conspiracy, the whole damn thing. But we need a broadcast node, powerful enough to reach the council chamber, Zra declared, severing a soldier's rifle. The emergency session will be planet-wide. Then that's where we go. Connor lunged, spearing a soldier's leg. How many more? All of them, Zra admitted grimly. But I know shortcuts. She wasn't joking. The next 10 minutes were a blur of air ducts, maintenance shafts, and a heart-stopping swing across a ceremonial fountain, dodging blaster fire from 3 sides. This reminds me of Chapter 47 in Love Under Fire, Keep chirped as they crawled through another vent. Not now, Connor and Zra said in unison. They dropped into a storage room, 50 meters from the council chamber. Connor checked his chrono. 20 minutes until the session, until Zra was forced to marry Leandor or face death. We need a plan, he said urgently. I have one. Zra's eyes blazed gold. Battlebright, you secure a broadcast node. I'll delay the ceremony, hell, I'll tear it apart. We go together. Or not at all. Connor, no. He caught her hand. No more splitting up. No more noble sacrifices. We're partners, or we're nothing. Her fingers tightened around his. Good. Now about that plan. Actually, Kay interrupted, I might have a suggestion. Reviewing my recovered memories, I noticed something about Counselor Leandor's behavior. Leandor's private chambers were supposedly impregnable biometric locks, guard rotations, the works. But they hadn't accounted for Key's memory of security codes, or the fact Leandor had dismissed his guards for meditation. They found him on the balcony, gazing at the binary sunset, a ceremonial blade resting on his lap. I wondered when you'd arrive, he said, without turning. The Earthman who sees the past. Tell me, what do you see when you look at me? Connor stepped forward, spear lowered but ready. I see someone who loved her, who's carried guilt for 3 years. Guilt, Leandor's laugh shattered. Such a small word for such a weight. It wasn't your fault, Zra said softly. Mother's death, wasn't it? Leandor turned, his silver skin dull, his eyes hollow. I knew Tavar was plotting. I thought I could handle it. Protect her. Without telling her I'd uncovered the plot. My pride. My need to be the hero. His hand found the violet brooch. She gave me this the night before she died. Said I was like a son to her. And I let her die. Tavar's alive, Connor stated flatly. He faked his death, and he's about to destroy everything Salandria built. Help us stop him. Help you? Leandor studied them. Disheveled, bloody, yet united. The princess and her Earthman. You know what I hated most about you, Blade? Connor tensed. What? That you made her happy. Leandor's smile was mournful. In 3 days, you made her laugh more than I did in 20 years. You made her glow. He stood, his decision etched in his eyes. What do you need? Access codes, Zra said instantly. Council security protocols. And, she hesitated, your brooch. Leandor's hand went to the violet ornament. Why? Because Connor needs to see, Zra said simply. To understand everything Tavar did, everything he's planning. Without hesitation, Leandor unpinned the brooch and gave it to Connor. Whatever you see, whatever you learn, use it to protect her. Connor took the brooch. The metal was warm, almost alive. You sure about this? For the first time in 3 years, Leandor said, yes. Connor opened the brooch, and the past flooded in, a torrent of visions. Tavar, younger, making deals with off-world arms dealers, the systematic elimination of political rivals, the discovery of something in the deep archive star charts, warnings of a cosmic threat approaching Tyel Prime. Tavar's decision not to warn anyone, but to profit from the coming catastrophe. Then the murder. Connor saw it all through Leandor's eyes. The ambush, the neural stunner, waking to find Salandria dead, everyone believing him complicit. Tavar's whispered threat, say nothing, or Zra dies next. Connor gasped, reeling back. Blood streamed from his nose, but he'd seen enough. The Devourers, he breathed. Tavar knows they're coming. Zra stiffened. That's impossible. The Devourers were a myth. Connor, wiping away blood, knew the horrifying truth. They were real, arriving within a year. Tavar, that snake, had been selling off their defenses, plotting his escape before the inevitable doom. Leandor whispered, Salandria always said the spear was more than a weapon. It was waiting for the Devourers. Then it struck Connor. This wasn't just a spear. It was a key, unlocking the planetary defense grid left behind by the precursors. We need to reach the council chamber, he declared. Zra's blade ignited. Hold, Leandor commanded, revealing a hidden arsenal that would make any arms dealer green with envy. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. 5 minutes later, they stood ready. Leandor had traded his ceremonial robes for sleek combat armor. Zra had enough firepower to level a city. Connor gripped the spear, fighting the crushing weight of a planet's fate on his shoulders. Ready? Zra asked, her voice sharp. Absolutely not, Connor admitted. Let's go anyway. That's the spirit. Keep, ever the pragmatist, interjected. 87% of successful heroic gestures begin with inadequate preparation. K, Connor replied. Yes, Captain. After this, we're adjusting your personality settings. Noted. Shall we save the planet, then? The council chamber doors were a fortress, guarded by 50 traditionalist soldiers, energy weapons primed. I count 50, Connor muttered, peering from their hiding spot. 52, Zra corrected. 2 snipers on the upper level. 53, Leandor added grimly. 1 in stealth gear by the left pillar. A shared look passed between them. Then Zra smiled, a flash of wild beauty. Remember the fountain, Connor? You mean when we almost died? But we didn't. She clasped his hand. Trust me, always. Follow my lead. She turned to Leandor. Both of you. What followed was either a stroke of tactical genius or beautiful utter chaos. Zra scaled the walls with impossible grace, her blade carving handholds. Connor became a whirlwind of ancient fury, the spear a blur of motion at ground level. Leandor marched directly through the middle, dual pistols transforming guards into abstract art. And Keep hijacked the chamber's sound system, broadcasting a message that echoed through the halls. Citizens of Tyel Prime, the droid's voice boomed. What you are about to witness is footage from 3 years ago. The truth about Matriarch Salandria's death. The battle froze. Every eye, guard, counselor, and ceremonial attendee turned to the holographic display. There was Tavar, sabotaging the ritual circle. The hired assassin. Leondor's desperate attempt to intervene. Salandria's final haunting words. The spear will choose. When the stars darken, it will choose. Lies, a voice roared from the council platform. Tavar stood revealed, very much alive, his 3 eyes blazing with rage. Fabrications. Connor vaulted onto the platform. Then you won't mind if I do this. He pressed his hand against the ceremonial throne. Salandria's throne, where she had reigned for decades. The visions flooded his mind, raw and brutal, but Connor forced them into the spear. The weapon flared, projecting the unvarnished truth for all to see. Tavar's treachery, the coming devourers, the planetary defense grid. The chamber erupted into pandemonium. Some guards turned on their comrades, others fled in terror. The council dissolved into chaos. But through it all, Tavar remained unmoved. So the truth is known, he said, his voice cold. What of it? The devourers come regardless. At least I would have lived. You killed my mother, Zra said, stalking towards him. For money, for cowardice. I killed her for survival. Tavar drew an ancient blade, its edge crackling with dark energy. As I'll kill you. No, Connor interjected, stepping between them. My fight, Tavar. Trial by combat, he declared formally. I challenge you, Tavar, for the murder of Salandria, for treason against Tyal Prime, for threatening my wife. Tavar's 3 eyes narrowed. You? The Earthman? You have no standing. He bears the spear, Judge Armar interjected, floating down from his position. By our oldest laws, that gives him every right. Then I accept, Tavar snarled. Prepare to join your mother-in-law, boy. The crowd surged back, forming a circle, ancient protocols activating an energy barrier to contain the fight. Connor stepped inside, the spear humming in his hand. Any advice? He asked Zra. Don't die. Her eyes blazed with gold fire. And Connor, make him suffer. Yes, ma'am. Tavar attacked without warning, his blade a blur of lethal motion, his 3 eyes granting him an unnerving awareness. Connor barely managed to raise the spear in time, energy crackling where the weapons clashed. You fight like a human, Tavar sneered, pressing his advantage. All strength, no grace. Connor yielded ground, studying his opponent's patterns. Tavar was skilled, centuries of experience woven into every move, but he was also arrogant, accustomed to winning through intimidation. You're right, Connor said, narrowly dodging a thrust that would have cleaved him in 2. I do fight like a human. He scooped up a handful of ceremonial sand from the platform and hurled it into Tavar's eyes. All 3 of them. We fight dirty, he thought, and he would. The spear ripped through Tavar's flesh, embedding itself deep in his shoulder. A strangled cry tore from the counselor's throat as he stumbled backward, his own blade trembling in his grip. You dare! Tavar roared, furious. Connor surged forward, a storm of brutal efficiency. Every cruel lesson the Corps had hammered into him, every dirty trick learned from 5 years, plundering tombs, poured out. A savage knee to the groin, a crushing elbow to the windpipe, a brutal headbutt that burst Tavar's central eye in a fountain of blood. But Tavar possessed centuries of experience and desperate power of his own. His blade slashed across Connor's ribs, igniting his chest with white-hot agony. Another stroke sliced open Connor's thigh, blood turning the platform into a crimson mirror. He was already tiring, the pain a crushing weight. Tavar circled, a predator savoring its wounded prey. The great Earthman, brought low. Then Zara's voice, a lifeline in the storm, pierced the haze of pain. Remember the fountain? The fountain. The memory flooded him, a shared moment of laughter, of complete trust as they swung together. He found her gaze across the energy barrier, her hand firm on her blade. He understood what had to be done. With a roar, Connor charged, ignoring the searing agony as Tavar's blade punched through his shoulder, driving deep. He was close enough now, grabbing Tavar's wrist, locking the blade in place. What? Are you partners? Tavar sneered. That's right, Connor gasped, and with every last bit of strength, hurled the spear. It punched through the energy barrier as if it wasn't there, a projectile of pure will. Zara snatched it from the air, spun, and unleashed it back towards them, a blazing streak of retribution. The weapon screamed through the space between them, gathering speed, gathering power. Tavar tried to break free, but Connor held him locked, bleeding and grinning through the agony. The spear struck true, piercing Tavar's heart. "Impossible," the counselor choked, his voice a bare whisper. "No," Connor rasped as Tavar collapsed, life draining away. "Just human." The energy barrier dissolved. Zra was there in an instant, catching Connor as his legs buckled beneath him, her hands pressed against his wounds, her bioluminescent markings flaring with vibrant life. "You magnificent idiot," she breathed, her voice thick with emotion. "That wasn't the plan." "Worked, didn't it?" Connor's vision swam. "Did I mention you look beautiful when you glow?" "Shut up and don't die," she snapped, but a smile bloomed through her tears. "We still have a planet to save." "Right," Connor mumbled, grabbing the spear and pulling it free from Tavar's cooling corpse. "How do we—" The weapon answered, a surge of raw power flooding through Connor, through Zra where her skin touched his, through the platform beneath their feet, ancient systems, dormant for millennia, sparked to violent life. The palace groaned, shaking to its foundations. Outside, the city's spires began to pulse with an alien light, and in the sky, a vast energy shield shimmered into existence, enfolding the planet like protective wings. "The precursor defense grid," someone whispered in awe. "It's real." "Very real," Connor managed, his wounds already closing, the spear's energy weaving flesh and bone with unnatural speed. "Ready for whatever's coming." "The Devourers will find no easy prey here," Judge Armar declared, his voice ringing with newfound confidence. "Thanks to our unusual couple." A roar of approval erupted from the crowd. Connor found himself hauled to his feet, Zra a steady presence at his side. Someone began chanting their names. Others joined in, until the chamber vibrated with the sound. "So," Connor said to his wife, "we just saved the planet. What do we do now?" Zra's eyes cycled through a dozen shades of gold, amusement dancing within them. "Now," she said, pulling him close, "we make it official, properly this time. We're already married by accident, by ancient law. I want to marry you by choice." Connor kissed her, long and deep, as the crowd roared its approval. Her markings painted light across his skin, and the spear hummed contentedly between them. "Get a room," Keep chirped, somehow sporting a tiny ceremonial crown. Though statistics suggest public displays of affection strengthen political bonds by 34%. They broke apart, laughing. In the crowd, Connor spotted Leandor. The silver-skinned man raised a hand in a silent salute, then quietly slipped away, ready to find his own path, free from the burden of guilt. "Speech!" someone yelled. "Speech from the Earthman!" Connor gazed at the crowd, aliens who had wanted him dead only hours before now cheering his name. He thought of Maddie, safe on Earth, of promises kept and disasters averted. "I came here for a job," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. 50,000 credits and done. Instead, I got a wife, a revolution, and apparently saved the planet. He paused, a grin spreading across his face. Best job ever. The laughter that followed was like music, a joyous celebration of survival. Zra's hand found his, fingers interlacing. "Take us home," she murmured. "Which home? Earth or here?" "Both." Her smile was radiant. "We'll need to tell your sister she has a new sister-in-law. She's going to flip." Connor grinned. "In a good way. Probably. After she stops yelling at me for not calling." They walked from the chamber hand in hand, the spear floating between them, as Keep rattled off statistics about successful interspecies marriages. The planet's new shield bathed everything in a soft, ethereal light, a promise of protection against the darkness yet to come. But that was tomorrow's problem. Today, Connor Blade had accidentally saved a civilization, married an alien princess, and discovered that sometimes the best things in life came from saying yes to the wrong job. "Hey, Zra." "Yes?" "Thanks for not killing me when we met." Her laughter was bright as binary stars. "Day's not over yet, Earthman?" "Promises, promises." They bantered their way back to their quarters, where they had a wedding to plan, a sister to call, and a Colorado was draped in a snowy Christmas blanket that seemed plucked from a postcard. Connor stood on the porch, his gaze fixed on the approaching rental hovercar gliding along the snow-lined driveway. "They're here," he breathed. Beside him, Maddie practically vibrated, barely containing her excitement. "I can't believe you married an alien princess and kept it from me for 3 whole months." "I told you as soon as I could," Connor protested. After the fact doesn't count, she retorted, playfully punching his arm. I had to get the juicy details from galactic gossip sites. The hovercar touched down gently. Zara emerged, dazzling even in a garish Christmas sweater. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed with patterns that mirrored the sweater's flashing reindeer. Maddie, Zara greeted her, a flicker of nervousness in her eyes. I've heard so much about you. You're blue, Maddie blurted, then immediately cringed. I mean, I knew that. But wow, you're really blue and unbelievably gorgeous, and you're actually wearing the sweater I sent. It's unique, Zara replied, her diplomatic skills kicking in. I adore it. She hates it, Connor stage whispered. But she already loves you, so she's gritting her teeth. Zara playfully elbowed him. Maddie's face lit up. Greetings, future sister-in-law. Kept rolled out of the car, shimmering in so much tinsel he resembled a festive disco ball. Did you know that 83% of Earth families report positive experiences when introducing alien in-laws? You must be kept, Maddie exclaimed, instantly drawn to the droid. Connor mentioned you're a romance novel aficionado. Have you devoured the latest Stella Starlight series? Have I? Kept spun in a circle. Chapter 17's confession scene caused a coolant leak. And just like that, Maddie and Kept were kindred spirits. I like her, Zara murmured to Connor. She's the best. Connor wrapped his arm around his wife. Just wait until she starts grilling you about Tyelian biology. She's pre-med now. I can hear you both, Maddie called out. And yes, I have a million questions. But first, is that shepherd's pie? Zara proudly presented a covered dish, emanating a faint violet glow. I followed your mother's recipe precisely, though I may have added a dash of Tyelian spice. Spices that make it glow? Maddie asked. Only slightly radioactive, Zara assured her. Completely harmless for human consumption. Probably. Awesome. Maddie grabbed the dish. Come on, dinner's ready. And Connor actually cooked this year. He can cook now, apparently. Zara feigned astonishment. On Tial Prime, he mostly burns things and calls it char-grilled cuisine. Hey, my burgers are legendary. Legendarily carcinogenic, Zara quipped. They playfully bickered their way inside, where the table was laden with an abundance of food. The house exuded the aroma of pine, cinnamon, and pure, unadulterated home. Connor had painstakingly prepared everything for weeks. Their first Christmas as a family. An expanded family, he mused, watching Zara help Maddie set the table, while Kept offered data on optimal food placement. A toast, Maddie announced once everyone was seated. To Connor, who went to steal a spear and came back with a wife. To Maddie, Zara countered, who's taking her brother's marriage to an alien with such remarkable grace. To Kept, Connor added, who can't keep his vocabulary concise. Family, Zara chimed, which, according to my databases, is what you make it, not just what you're born into. They clinked glasses, wine for the humans, something purple and effervescent for Zara, and motor oil, as requested, for Kept. So, Maddie began, cutting into the shimmering shepherd's pie. Tell me everything. The real story, not the sugar-coated news headlines. Connor and Zara exchanged a knowing glance. Well, Connor started, it began with me being an idiot. As all the best stories do, Zara agreed. They recounted the tale together, interjecting each other, debating details, and laughing at the preposterous moments. Maddie listened intently, her eyes shining, posing questions that showcased her inherited brilliance. And then he threw sand in the guy's eyes, Zara exclaimed dramatically. 3 eyes! Who does that? Someone who fights to win, Connor defended himself. Someone who fights dirty, Zara corrected, her eyes nevertheless sparkling with adoration. So what's next? Maddie inquired. The Devourers are still on their way, right? In approximately 9 months, Connor confirmed. But the defense grid is operational, and the planets are united for the first time in centuries. We'll be prepared. And after? Connor and Zara exchanged another significant look. Well, Zara said thoughtfully, Earth still lacks formal diplomatic ties with Tial Prime. And someone has to establish cultural exchange programs, Connor added. Maybe set up an embassy, train Earth archaeologists in precursor technology, bring Tyelian medical advancements to Earth hospitals. You're staying, Maddie translated, beaming, and forging a future together. If you're all right with that, Zara said carefully. I know, Connor reassured. I promised I'd come home. You are home, Maddie said, reaching across the table to clasp both their hands. Home is wherever family is, and your family now. Zara's markings pulsed vibrantly, spelling out something in Tailian. Connor didn't require translation. The emotion was unmistakable. Besides, Maddie added with a mischievous grin, I've already applied to Tial Prime University for my xenobiology residency. Ensi, someone needs to keep a close watch on you two. You, what? Connor nearly choked. Did you honestly believe I'd let you hog all the excitement? Maddie's grin was pure, unadulterated Blade mischief. Please, I'm a Blade too. We simply don't do boring. This is precisely like Chapter 94 of Love Across the Stars. Kept spun around, an ecstatic whir, proclaiming, Family reunion leads to thrilling new adventures. Our life is not a romance novel, Connor stated, though a faint smile tugged at his lips. Are you truly so certain? Zara's gentle hand found his beneath the table's edge. Accidental marriage, political intrigue, saving the world through the power of love. She paused, her eyes sparkling. When you frame it like that. Admit it, she murmured, her voice a soft caress. You adore our beautifully ridiculous life. Connor's gaze swept across the intimate scene. His brilliant sister, his incandescent alien wife, their eternally disaster-prone droid, all gathered for Christmas dinner in a cozy Colorado ranch house as soft snow drifted beyond the windows. In the warmth of the living room, a mountain of presents nestled under a tree adorned with both cherished earth ornaments and shimmering Tailian light crystals. On the mantelpiece, a framed photograph from their second wedding captured a moment of glorious rebellion. Zara, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, drawing his sword from its sheath, a daring reversal of traditions that had simultaneously enraged the conservatives and brought jubilant cheers from the progressives. Yeah, he confessed, tightening his grip on Zara's hand, his voice thick with emotion. I truly do. Her bioluminescent markings, soft as candlelight, spelled out a silent, heartfelt, I love you, in English. I love you too, he breathed in return. Get a room, Maddie and Kept chorused in unison, their voices perfectly synchronized. After pie, Zara declared primly, though a slight smile played on her lips. I worked very hard on that radiation. It's perfect, Maddie quickly assured her, taking another generous bite. Wow. Okay, my tongue is definitely a little numb, but in the best possible way. That's the neutron spice, Zara beamed, her satisfaction evident. I wasn't entirely sure I'd used enough. Connor watched his family, quirky, magnificent, and unequivocally his own, share their very first holiday together. Outside, the gentle, relentless snow persisted. In 9 months, they would stand against the devourers. But tonight, this sacred night, was exclusively for family, for the warmth of shared laughter and the delightfully peculiar taste of slightly radioactive shepherd's pie. In the corner, the ancient spear hummed with a deep, resonant contentment. Its work, its singular purpose, was fulfilled. It had chosen wisely. The formidable warrior and the reluctant wanderer, thrust together by an improbable accident, yet bound now by an unbreakable, deliberate choice. Best accidental marriage ever, Connor softly mused, a profound tenderness in his voice. I heard that, Zara teased, her eyes dancing. Good, he replied simply, and she leaned in, a quick, warm kiss sealing the moment, as Maddie dramatically pretended to gag, and Kept dutifully rattled off statistics about public displays of affection. Beyond the windows, the vast, indifferent stars continued their silent, ancient rotation, heedless of human joy. But within the cozy walls of the ranch house, love pulsed and glowed, a light far brighter than any bioluminescent marking, radiating warmth through the heart of the winter night. Sometimes, the most improbable path, the wrong job at precisely the right time, led a soul exactly where it was meant to be. Connor Blade, an archaeologist thrust into the role of accidental prince consort, wouldn't trade a single moment of it. The end. This story was crafted with heartfelt dedication for every cherished viewer, listener, and reader of the Sci-Fantasy Channel. I extend my profound gratitude and deepest appreciation to each one of you for continuously granting these tales a chance. While I know that no story is flawless and not every narrative resonates with everyone, it is my genuine honor that some of these adventures find a home in your hearts and persist vibrantly in your memories. Thank you for being here. My appreciation for you all is immense, and I love you. Thank you.